Om. 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 ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् जय गुरुदेव you can start Bela
ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः पुरुषोत्तमयोगः। श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित् अधर्षोर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखा गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवालाः अधश्च मूलान्यनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके न रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यं यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी निर्मानमोहाजितसङ्गदोषाध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ताः सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर्गच्छन्त्यमूढाः पदमव्ययं तत् ॐ तत्सत् सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु. Please give me 2 minutes. I'll just quickly browse through the first shloka which we began yesterday. I hope you all are able to see the screen. Kindly let me know if there is disturbance. श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमधशाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. Shri Bhagavan said, they say the imperishable Ashwatha tree has its roots above, its branches below, and the Vedas are its leaves. The one who knows, that is a knower of the Vedas. The tree of samsara, the vision is presented through the imagery of a sacred ficus tree, Ashwatha, that is likened to samsara. Ashwatha literally means that which will not be there tomorrow. Na shvaha api sthata iti ashwatthah. That which will not stay tomorrow is called ashwatha. It is changing all the time and yet perpetuates itself through its own bija, seed, and adventitious roots called Ficus religiosa. It belongs to the same group as the banyan tree. Like the Ashwatha tree, the samsara is also such that it will not be in the same form tomorrow. It is constantly changing relative to the root, the basis, adhisthana, which is Brahman, which never undergoes any change. Though samsara is Ashwatha, that is, it will not be there tomorrow, it is also avyaya. It keeps changing but does not die away. That is, the names and forms go on changing. But even when everything is dissolved, it remains in an unmanifest form, returning and again resolving with every cycle. Thus, it has no beginning, only manifestation and unmanifestation. This manifestation and unmanifestation is like our daily dissolution into sleep and waking up. But this samsara can end with reference to an individual once the ignorance of the root is removed. Otherwise, it is avyaya, imperishable. Samsara is likened to a tree for a number of reasons. Even though we do not generally see the roots of a tree, we appreciate that it is standing because of its roots. We have the cognition, it exists, that is, asti iti buddhihi asti. Similarly, the root of samsara is beyond our comprehension, in that we do not see it, but we infer its existence because of the observation of samsara. That is, we see only the effect, karya, not the cause, karana, and infer the existence of the cause from the presence of the effect. This is true for the karana karya sambandha, cause-effect relationship of everything within the samsara. If the cause is other than myself, it is possible to see the cause in the effect. But if it is myself, how am I to see it? I must be able to see myself in order to appreciate the cause, since it is nothing but me. Not knowing this, I will see only the creation which is within the time-space framework. Its cause, not being known to me, is lost within myself, beyond time and space. As the tree has roots which are not seen, so does the world. whose roots are hidden in the seer. Its roots are above and branches are below. Shankara says, Urdhva कालतः सूक्ष्मत्वात् कारणत्वात् नित्यत्वात् महत्वात् च ऊर्ध्वम् उच्यते ब्रह्म अव्यक्तमाया शक्तिमत् तत् मूलम् अस्य इति. Brahman, which has the Maya Shakti, is the Mula, the root, which is said to be above, because it is subtler than time, the final cause of everything, eternal and limitless. Shankara says that the root is above because it is subtler than even time. Time is not perceptible as an object, but is appreciated purely by the mind. But here we are dealing with something that is even subtler than the mind, the very basis or cause, karana of the mind and everything within time and space. In the sense that it precedes the creation as its cause, it is above, urdhva. Further, it is eternal, nitya. As long as the root survives, the tree, even though felled, will regenerate. In Calcutta, there is a tree of this sort which spreads for thousands of square feet. In one spot, there is a sign denoting the place where the original trunk once was. Even though it is gone, the tree remains because of the thousands of adventitious roots. The tree is a mere karya, effect, that continues to exist as long as its cause, karana, root remains. Similarly, the tree of samsara is a non-eternal effect rising out of its cause, which relative to it is eternal, nitya. From the root, it can come again. While the entire creation is anitya, its root is nitya. I repeat, while the entire creation is anitya, its root is nitya. It is also urdhva because it is limitless. Mahatvat urdhva. Brahman with Maya Shakti, the cause of this entire world, is the root of the tree of samsara. While its root is above, its branches are below, adaha. All the physical and subtle elements are the branches, shakhas, and they are below, adaha, because they are within time and space. The Vedas are its foliage. The foliage of a tree is an important protective covering and source of vitality. If you keep on clipping the leaves, the tree will die. Similarly, the tree of samsara has the Vedas, chandamsi, as leaves to protect and sustain the jivas and perpetuate samsara. The Vedas spoken of here are Rig, Yajus, and Sam. Like the leaves, they protect and sustain the jivas and perpetuate samsara because they provide knowledge of the means and ends connected with rituals. Vedanta is omitted here because to sustain samsara, you need only karmas. Vedanta will destroy it. Even those who have no knowledge of the Vedas perform actions and thus perpetuate samsara. That being so, why are the Vedas considered the leaves? They contain knowledge of the most auspicious karmas and therefore they protect samsara. When even the sacred Vedas only protect samsara, what can we say about worldly karmas? The Vedas represent all means and ends. They do not release you from samsara, but rather protect and perpetuate samsara like the leaves of the tree. How? Through the knowledge of means and ends. The jiva uses or fails to use the various means prescribed to achieve his ends and thus gathers punya and papa. Because of this punya and papa, he takes another birth and samsara continues for him. In a larger sense, the punya and the papa of the jiva cause his world to manifest, and thus punya and papa, rooted in the Vedas, form the basis of creation. As the leaves keep the tree alive, karmas keep the tree of samsara going. A tree, however, can be felled, and so can samsara. The tree of samsara is born of ignorance, ajnana. In order to remove it, I must know that the root is myself, and the tree, the effect, is also myself. Then there will no longer be identification with a single physical body, etc. First, the tree must be felt. To do this, I give up the I sense, Atma Buddhi, in what is not I, Anatma. I repeat, very important line. First, the tree must be felled. To do this, I give up the I sense, Atma Buddhi, in what is not I, Anatma. Then the root must be removed exactly as in cutting a tree. First, you fell it with a saw, then dig up the root. Shruti also uses this illustration in Kathopanishad. Samsara is described as a tree with with its roots above in Brahman and branches below within the time-space framework. It has no beginning. It is anadi because it is cyclical. Even if it becomes unmanifest at the time of dissolution, like a tree in a seed, it manifests once again. In his commentary on this verse, Shankara cites the use of this imagery in the Mahabharata. There it says that it is produced from the unmanifest abiding in Brahman, because of whose grace alone it has risen up. Like a tree is born from its roots and is sustained by it, this tree of samsara not only arises but is also sustained by Ishvara, without whom it has no existence. Its trunk is the intellect, buddhi, and its apertures are the physical aspects of the sense organs. The branches are the five elements, and the various sense objects are the leaves. Dharma and adharma, meaning punya and papa, are its flowers, which give rise to fruits in the form of pleasure and suffering, sukha and dukkha. As the birds live in the tree, the jiva depends entirely upon this tree of samsara. Its original root is Brahman, and so is its expression. It is non-separate from Brahman. Not only is one tree Brahman, there is a whole forest of trees which is Brahman, and the one who roams in the forest of Brahman is also Brahman. But he does not know it. Therefore, the tree of samsara is to be destroyed by the sword of knowledge. Then one gains the state of reveling in oneself, and from that he does not return. All three principal sources of Brahma Jnana use this illustration. In the Shruti, we see it in Kathopanishad, in the Smriti, here in the Gita. And Shankara has quoted the Itihasa Purana Mahabharata where it appears. Mahabharata is an epic Itihasa, but it can also be called a Purana. A Purana, however, is never called an Itihasa. The one who knows this tree is a knower of the Veda. Yaha tam Veda saha Vedavita, says the Lord. The main thing the Veda wants to convey is that Brahman, the substratum of samsara, is you. The one who knows this tree along with its root, Brahman, knows that everything, the entire samsara, is mithya and the root is satya. He is the Vedavita, the one who knows the ultimate truth that the Vedas convey. This is the opening statement, pratigna, of the chapter. By knowing this tree of samsara, along with its root, everything is known. The remainder of the chapter is to establish this and is therefore an elaboration of the original statement. Other limbs of the tree of samsara are explained now in order that we may understand what it is and how, by knowing it, one becomes the knower of the Veda. So beautiful. So the root is Brahman, which is Nitya and Satya, and it is Avyaya. And from that Brahman only, the whole tree of samsara is created, which through the leaves in the form of Veda we can understand. If any of you wish to share, kindly unmute and share, or if you want me to repeat, please let me know. Okay. अधश्चूर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखा गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवालाः अधश्च मूलान्यनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके तस्य its शाखाः the branches गुणप्रवृद्धाः that are augmented by the gunas. Vishaya pravalaha with the sense objects as shoots. Adha urdhvam cha below and above. Prasrutaha are spread out. Adha cha and below. Manushya loke in the world of mortals. Mulani the roots. Karma anubandhini as karmas that bind, anusantatani are diffused and spread out everywhere. Tasya shakhaah guna pravriddaah vishaya pravalaah adha urdhvam cha prasrutaah adha cha manushya loke mulani karma anubandhini anusantatani. Its branches that are augmented by the gunas with sense objects as their shoots are spread out below and above. And below, the diffused roots are the karmas that bind in the world of mortals. I repeat, its branches that are augmented by the gunas with sense objects as their shoots are spread out below and above. And below the diffused roots are the karmas that bind in the world of mortals. The branches of this tree of samsara. What are the branches of this tree of samsara? Some are extended, prasrutaha, downward, adaha, while some of them go up, urdhvam. I repeat, what are the branches of this tree of samsara? Some are extended, prasritaha, downward, adaha, while some of them go up, urdhvam. Above are all the celestial beings. This means that even Indra, Brihaspati, Prajapati, and all other devas up to Brahma, Brahmaji, are within samsara. In Taittiriya Upanishad, they are contrasted with the wise person who is not destroyed by desire and is therefore free from samsara. There is a footnote. Taittiriya Upanishad, chapter 2, from 1 to 4. Some of the branches, on the other hand, grow down. These are the human beings, animals, and even stationary living beings like trees. All of them, those that extend up and down, are nourished by the three gunas, guna pravriddhaha, the constituents of Maya with Brahman is their material cause. There is a footnote. Maya is the material cause that has undergone change to become this entire Jagat. Parinami Upadana Karana. But Maya has no independent existence apart from Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is the material cause that lends existence to Maya itself and the entire Jagat without itself undergoing any change. Therefore, Brahman is called the Vivarta Upadana Karana. I repeat once again, Maya is the material cause that has undergone change to become this entire Jagat, Parinami Upadana Karana. But Maya has no independent existence apart from Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is the material cause that lends existence to Maya itself and the entire Jagat without itself undergoing any change. Therefore, Brahman is called the Vivarta Upadana Karana. So I repeat, some of the branches on the other hand grow down. These are the human beings, animals, and even stationary living beings like trees. All of them, those that extend up and down, are nourished by the three gunas, guna pravriddhaha. The constituents of Maya with Brahman is their material cause. So, as mentioned, explained in the footnote, though Maya is the cause, but it alone cannot Brahmashraya Maya. So the Parinami Upadana Karana and Vivarta Upadana Karana, which is the Brahman, both are the causes of samsara. Because of the gunas, there are karmas. And because of the karmas, one acquires bodies. Whether they are above or below, they are all sustained by the gunas. On a branch, if you want me to repeat anything, please let me know. So we just have to be gunatita and we have to be the branches which grow up. On a branch, there are nodular buds from which new branches can begin. These are the pravalas. In the tree of samsara, the sense object, vishayas are the pravalas. Desiring these sense objects, one will undertake new karmas because of which one will gain a new body. All the sense objects become nodular birds, Vishaya Pravalas, which are potential branches leading to the acquisition of new bodies. The taproot of this tree of samsara, as we have seen, is Brahman with the power of Maya. The secondary roots coming down from the branches, Adha cha Mulani, are the binding karmas. Karma Anubandhini. In the world of mortals, Manushya Loke, all the accumulated favorable and unfavorable karmas waiting to manifest and the new karmas being done now form the secondary roots. These are the karmas born of ragas and dveshas, yielding unseen results, adrishta phalas, which must fructify. They are extended everywhere, anusantatani, and keep this tree of samsara alive. I repeat, this is a very important paragraph. The taproot of this tree of samsara, as we have seen, is Brahman with the power of Maya. The secondary roots coming down from the branches, Adha Chamulani, are the binding karmas, karma anubandhini in the world of mortals, Manushya Loki. All the accumulated favorable and unfavorable karmas waiting to manifest and the new karmas being done now form the secondary roots. These are the karmas born of ragas and dveshas, yielding unseen results, adrishta phalas, which must fructify. They are extended everywhere, anusantatani, and keep this tree of samsara alive. It looks as though the tree of samsara is deeply rooted, but fortunately, it is like a dream. That is, it is mithya. Only the root Brahman is Satya. Everything else is mithya. Bhagwan shows the real nature of samsara and how it can be uprooted in the next verse. If you wish to repeat anything, please do let me know. And if there is any breaking of voice, also please do let me know. न रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन छित्त्वा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन छित्त्वा इह तथा as it is here asya its rupam form na upalabhyate is not perceived asya na antah it has no end na cha adihi and no beginning na cha sampratishtha and no continuance suvirudha moolam its roots are well entrenched anam ashwatham. This ashwatha tree, dridena, form asanga shastrena with the weapon of detachment, chitva, cutting. Iha tatha asya rupam na upalabhyate asya na antah na cha adihi na cha sampratishtha suvirudhamulam enam ashwatham dridena asanga shastrena chitva. ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यं यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी ततः after that yatah from whom purani ancient pravrittihi the creation prasruta has come forth yasmin into which gatah those who have gone bhuyah again na nivartanti do not return tameva cha adyam purusham to that person alone who is in the beginning prapadye I surrender tat that padam and parimargitavyam is to be properly inquired into. Tatah yatah purani pravrittihi prasruta yasmin gataha bhuyah na nivartanti tameva cha adyam purusham prapadye tat padam parimargitavyam. Its form is not as it is perceived here. It has no end, no beginning, and no continuance in between. After cutting this Ashwatha tree, whose roots are well entrenched with the firm weapon of detachment, then that end into which those who have gone do not return again is to be properly inquired into with the attitude that I surrender to that Adi Purusha alone, from whom the ancient creation has come forth. I repeat, its form is not as it is perceived here. It has no end, no beginning, and no continuance in between. After cutting this Ashwatha tree, whose roots are well entrenched with the firm weapon of detachment, then that end into which those who have gone do not return again is to be properly inquired into with the attitude that I surrender to that Adi Purusha alone from whom the ancient creation has come forth. The real nature of this tree of samsara, the form of this tree is not known. Even though we describe it in detail with its roots, branches, and leaves, if we begin to analyze it, there is no tree at all, only name and form Nama Rupa. This is true of any object. Take space as an example. Without a reference, like a ceiling or floor, there is no space. At least one object is required as a reference point to establish the concept of space. In no sense does it have any existence of its own. If you analyze it, you will only find one consciousness, Chaitanya. Then take up the analysis of air. Is it hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, or carbon dioxide? On inquiry, it too has no real existence. But if we cannot dismiss the tree of samsara as non existent, otherwise there would not be a description of it. At the same time, we cannot say it has an independent existence. Shrutis Shruti's intent is not to describe the tree of samsara, but to point out that it is mithya and unfold the one satya upon which it is based. If you know this, the karana, you know everything. Shankara says, samsara is like a dream, mirage, water, magic, or a city seen in the clouds. In its own time, it appears to be real, but when you analyze it in terms of reality, it has no being. At the same time, you cannot say it is rootless, for its root alone is the truth. Everything else is a superimposition upon that and therefore mithya. Thus, Bhagwan says that in the form in which it has been described, this samsara is not available. Na rupam asya iha tatha upalabhyate. This can be viewed in two ways. If we look at it from the standpoint of Param Brahma, there is only one Vastu. Any name and form, Nam and Rupa, on inquiry, resolves into this Vastu and is therefore, from the standpoint of the Vastu, purely a projection. Name and form, the sense of agency, and so on are superimposed upon Atma due to ignorance and considered different from Atma. Seeing the known world as different from the knower and the knowledge, the differences which constitute samsara is but a projection. So there is only one Satya, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. That root is Sat, Avyaya, Nitya. If you want me to repeat any paragraph, please do let me know before we proceed. These are the fundamental paragraphs. So please make sure that they are clear. Now, from the empirical Vyavaharika standpoint, viewing the world along with its elements, laws, punya papa, karma, the results of karma, the body, hunger, knowledge, and delusion, etc., as though it is satya and meant to bind you is not true. Then there is Ishvara, a material cause, an order, karma, karmaphala, knowledge, ignorance, waking, dream, sleep, etc. All these are possible when you look at the tree of samsara as described from the empirical standpoint. From the standpoint of the absolute reality, none of these exist. Brahman alone is. Further, this samsara has neither beginning nor end, nor continuance in between. Nanto nachadir nacha sampratishtha. Gaudapadas has said that that which did not exist before and that which will not exist later does not exist now. आदवन्ते च यत् नास्ति वर्तमाने अपि तत् तथा. This is a footnote from Mandukya Karika. I repeat once again this beautiful by Sri Gaudapada. Gaudapada has said that which did not exist before and that which will not exist later does not exist now. Adavante cha yat nasti vartamane api tat tatha. For example, before the pot was born, it was not there. After it is destroyed, it is not there. In between, it cannot really exist. It only seems to exist. So Nanaji always tell, no, as though it is. So it only seems to exist. The projected samsara in which the differences of knower, known, instrument of knowledge, jnatra, jneya, jnana, are superimposed upon Atma, the one Vastu, certainly has no beginning or end. I repeat, the projected samsara in which the differences of knower, known, instrument of knowledge, that is, Gnatra, Gneya, Jnana, are superimposed upon Atma, the one Vastu, certainly has no beginning or end. Between Atma and the creation which is Mithya, the connection is a superimposition which has no beginning because it is rooted in ignorance. Nor does it have an end since it is not there to begin with. With no beginning or end, naturally, it is not there in between. A pot, for example, on inquiry, reduces to pure consciousness, Chaitanya. It disappears on analysis because it has been erroneously projected on Brahman. From the standpoint of Brahman, everything other than Brahman is superimposed and therefore has no beginning, no end, nor any being now. So we just have to remember that Jnana, Jneya, Jnatra. It is all, they are all superimposed upon Atma. Like if there is a red flower in front of a pure crystal, the crystal appears to be red, but in fact it is superimposed by the red flower.
Bilaji, can you please repeat this paragraph?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The projected samsara, in which the differences of knower, known, instrument of knowledge, that is Gnatra, Gneya, Jnana, are superimposed upon Atma, the one Vastu, certainly has no beginning or end. Between Atma and the creation, which is Mithya, the connection is a superimposition which has no beginning because it is rooted in ignorance. Nor does it have an end since it is not there to begin with. With no beginning or end, naturally, it is not there in between. A pot, for example, on inquiry, reduces to pure consciousness, Chaitanya. It disappears on analysis because it has been erroneously projected on Brahman. From the standpoint of Brahman, everything other than Brahman is superimposed and therefore has no beginning, no end, nor any being now. So beautiful. Anyone wish to share? Empirically, it is true and not true from an absolute standpoint. In mistaking a rope for a snake, the rope is true, whereas the snake is not. But you cannot arrive at the unreality of the snake unless the rope is more real. Thus, we have what we know as an empirical reality, which behaves according to a certain order. From the standpoint of the empirical world, Brahman becomes Satya, while the world is Mithya. When looking at the world as something entirely different from Brahman, duality is real. The jivas are many, each one different from the other, and therefore the world becomes the cause for fear. Death and disease and everything else become real, not mithya. If the world is seen as mithya, it is true empirically, but it is not satya. Without that vision, there is samsara. I repeat, this is the essence of the whole creation. Empirically, it is true and not true from an absolute standpoint. In mistaking a rope for a snake, the rope is true, whereas the snake is not. But you cannot arrive at the unreality of the snake unless the rope is more real. Thus, we have what we know as an empirical reality which behaves according to a certain order. From the standpoint of the empirical world, Brahman becomes Satya, while the world is Mithya. When looking at the world as something entirely different from Brahman, duality is real. The jivas are many, each one different from the other, and therefore the world becomes the cause for fear. Death and disease and everything else become real, not mithya. If the world is seen as mithya, it is true empirically, but it is not satya. Without that vision, there is samsara. So when there is duality, there is fear, there is jealousy, there is comparison. But if there is oneness, then there is no fear. If there is Advait, then there is no fear. How can samsara be negated? By seeing its true form. Shankara says its nature is such that it perishes as it is seen. Drishta nasta svabhava. I hope I am correct in my pronunciation. Drishta nasta nashta. Kshamyata. Drishta nashta svabhava.
Nashta sabha. Drashta
Even
nashta.
as, yeah, nashta. Even as we are seeing it, it is gone. We have no way of keeping an object in the same form as it is at this moment. In the next moment, it will inexorably change. Because of this also, it has no beginning, no end, no being of its own. From the standpoint of Brahman, it has no reality whatsoever. Once you analyze an object, it disappears into the vastu. So this is about the samsara, which is mithya. It is constantly changing. It doesn't remain the same. And in comparison to that, the Brahman, which is avyaya nitya, it does not change. So how can samsara be negated? I'm repeating. How can samsara be negated? By seeing its true form. Shankara says its nature is such that it perishes as it is seen. Drishta, nashta, swabhava. Even as we are seeing it, it is gone. We have no way of keeping an object in the same form as it is at this moment. In the next moment, it will inexorably change. Because of this also, it has no beginning, no end, no being of its own. From the standpoint of Brahman, it has no reality whatsoever. Once you analyze an object, it disappears into the vastu. Although we may say that this body was born at a given time, we cannot say samsara was born. Even empirically, since the creation passes from unmanifest to manifest and again to unmanifest and so on, it has no beginning, much less a being of its own. When you go to sleep, the whole thing disappears. And even while awake, it is never the same. It keeps changing and disappearing. Even though he has said it has no continuance, in the next line, Krishna says it is very well rooted. It is Suvirudha Mula. I repeat, even though he has said it has no continuance, in the next line, Krishna says it is very well rooted. It is Suvirudha Mula. Until inquiry starts and finishes, it has very good roots, since there is no better rooting than in ignorance. Everything else will be uprooted in time, but ignorance can only be uprooted by knowledge, jnana. Time can merely provide sufficient experiences of pain to perhaps develop jignasa, a desire to know, which can spark an inquiry leading to the knowledge that uproots the ignorance. Being rooted in ignorance, samsara has no real form, but being rooted in ignorance, it is very well rooted. It is Suviruda Mula. I think there is some printing mistake. I repeat once again this line. Being rooted in ignorance, samsara has no real form. But being rooted in ignorance, it is very well rooted. It is suviruddha mula. I believe it should be being rooted in knowledge. Am I right? Being rooted in knowledge, samsara has no real form. But being rooted in ignorance, it is very well rooted.
Yeah, I think so. Being rooted in knowledge, samsara has no real form. But in being rooted in ignorance, it is very well rooted. It is suvirudha mula.
Suviruddha mula. So when it is ignorance, there are all nama rupa. Vividha nama rupa. We will have different names and forms. But when there is knowledge, we know the reality that the root is only one, which is Brahman. Can someone help me to read, please? To read further? If you wish to repeat. Yeah, Sumaji, dhanyavad. I can continue sharing the screen. If you wish to repeat any previous paragraph, I can share the previous. Should we go further or we can, we will need to repeat? Just let us know. Do you want to repeat?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Sumaji, could you please repeat from the empirically? It is true.
Okay.
Dhanyavad.
Yeah, thank you. Empirically, it is true and not true from an absolute standpoint. In mistaking a rope for a snake, the rope is true whereas the snake is not. But you cannot arrive at the unreality of the snake unless the rope is more real. Thus, we have to know as an empirical reality which behaves according to a certain order. From the standpoint of the empirical world, Brahman becomes Satya, while the world is Mithya. When looking at the world as something entirely different from Brahman, duality is real. The jivas are many, each one different from the other, and therefore the world becomes the cause for fear. Death and disease and everything else becomes real, not mithya. If the world is seen as mithya, it is true empirically, but it is not satya. Without that vision, there is samsara. How can samsara be negated? By seeing its true form. Shankara says, its nature is such that it perishes as it is seen. Drishta nashta swabhava. Even as we are seeing it, it is gone. We have no way of keeping an object in the same form as it is at this moment. In the next moment, it will inexorably change. Because of this also, it has no beginning, no end, no being of its own. From the standpoint of Brahman, it has no reality whatsoever. Once you analyze an object, it disappears into the Vastu. Can you please raise the page? Thank you. Although we may see that this body was born at a given time, we cannot say samsara was born. Even empirically, since the creation passes from unmanifest to manifest, and again to unmanifest and so on, it has no beginning, much less a being of its own. When they go to sleep, the whole thing disappears. When you go to sleep, the whole thing disappears, and even while awake, it is never the same. It keeps changing and disappearing. Even though he has said it has no continuance, in the next line, Krishna says, it is very well rooted. It is suviruddha mula.
Suvirudha Mula. Suvirudha Mula.
Suvirudha mula. So even though it is not continuous, it has no continuance. Krishna says it is very well rooted. Suvirudha mula. So until inquiry starts and finishes, it has very good roots, since there is no better rooting than in ignorance. Everything else will be uprooted in time. But ignorance can only be uprooted by knowledge, jnana. Time can merely provide sufficient experiences of pain to perhaps develop jignasa, a desire to know, which can spark an inquiry leading to the knowledge that uproots the ignorance. Being rooted in ignorance, samsara has no real form, but being rooted in ignorance, it is very well rooted. It is suvirudha mula. So this question, we have to go into it inquiry. Look at the object, then it disappears.
Jai Gurudev, I think here 2-3 things we need to reaffirm ourselves. The first thing is that everything is changing, and trying to hold on to anything here in the outer world, it's not possible. Everything is in the flux continuously. The second thing is we have to understand that Vyavharik Satya and Paramarthik Satya. So, though when we give the example of Rajju and Sarp, like that snake and rope, it seems to be very easy to understand. But here the snake is so vast and it is continuously changing in infinite ways, and as with so many jivas and so many objects and people and continuous flux. So the hold of this Maya on us is so tight. So to loosen that and slowly keeping our one foot firm in the real knowledge, in unchanging that Brahman consciousness, and still playing in the Maya, taking that Vyavharik Satya also, will really lead us towards liberation from the grip of the Maya. That is what I think is the gist of whatever just now. Because that when it says no Suviruddha Moolam, the root of this Maya is so, the grip is so tight on us. So it will take time to replace it with the absolute reality of Brahman. And the process is on, no, that is why how strongly we were in this duality before coming on this path, and now definitely that is why we so much look forward every day for this knowledge, no, in the morning. So the process is on, and we are also lucky to be here. Jai Gurudev. Brahmaraji, can somebody, Sumaji, somebody can elaborate on this? Jai Gurudev.
You very beautifully brought out the essence that everything is changing. As I was reading, I was thinking of that, the same thing. We are also changing, our opinions are also changing, but somehow we stick on to some opinions we have formed earlier about people, and somehow that is not changing. It is we, though it is changing, it is we who are holding on to it because of our ego, I suppose. So
No,
we have to
it is
come
our
back to this knowledge again and again. Huh?
yes, our deep-rooted sanskaras, no? That deep-rooted sanskaras make that this thing strengthen this duality, no? And some behavior and here and there. But it is definitely loosening now. The process is
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And to accept the change also we take little time. Immediately, maybe some changes we can take, but some take little time to accept.
And also the ability to drop and move on. That is also another, everything is holding us. Agreed, the grip is getting looser and thinner, but I guess the time factor it was mentioned here, no? It is only in time it will get thinner. So each one of us have some timeline to follow, I think. So that's when that complete knowledge will dawn. And two things that came to my mind is one way to go into this inquiry is to keep asking, what is this Maya? Or what is this Brahman? Because he said, look at the object and it will disappear. So that is the key I got. Agreed, everything is changing. Second key I got is look at the object and it will disappear. So that looking at the object is the exercise we have to do. And yeah, this Sangha is so essential because we can very easily get fall the other way. Whichever group we are in, we can definitely assimilate their qualities. Somehow we also get into that we, because it's an energy exchange, I suppose, we very easily, the dominant energy will influence us. So to
Yeah, and
be in
whole
the
day,
Sangha is so essential.
yes, and whole day this keeps on lingering, no, somewhere. Little here and there, we definitely it flashes somewhere during the day also, no? So actually, very
Yeah,
beautifully it's going on.
yeah. And as we are going more into this third part, I feel it is kind of lingering throughout in your mind, no? You tend to contemplate more in the day about what we have heard. It
Yes,
wasn't so in
and
the
it is
beginning, but now it is.
yes, and it is available also on YouTube, so we can always revisit the same thing. It's actually helping us a lot, thanks to the modern technology also. I feel that this our Manana session should go on infinitely. It should never end. That fear is there. Oh, one day the 18th chapter will come, and then we don't want to discontinue it at any point of time.
No, in that case, even I was thinking of that. So I was thinking once when we complete these 18 chapters, we should do like Nanaji said, no, take the first six shatka, first six chapters and learn that thoroughly. then go to which is all about karma, all that, which again we have to refine. So we go focusing on the first six, then the next six, and the next six. So by then, even our intellect will get refined more and more.
But meantime, if you get knowledge, it's an end.
So you can guide then.
Can we continue?
Yeah. Oh, what's the time? Oh, it is only 15 more minutes. So should we stop here or should we continue?
The main detachment was the main
Yeah.
part of this.
I'll quickly read it. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll quickly read it. Detachment is the axe to fell this tree. To fell it, a particular axe is required. The axe of detachment. Asanga Shastra. By distinguishing between the subject and object, the erroneous identification of oneself with the physical body, senses, and mind is withdrawn. The acts of detachment is the enquiry into the nature of the self and not self. See, Brahman and Maya. That is the enquiry we should have. The acts of detachment is the enquiry into the nature of the self and not self. With this, the tree of samsara is felled. This detachment, asanga, must be firm, dhrida. Asangatva begins with the external world, and Shankara, wow, Asangatva begins with the external world, and Shankara mentions one's son as the first towards whom one should develop Asangatva. The very expression, my son, means there is an attachment. Friends are another source of attachment. One may want to renounce, but may find it difficult to leave one's circle of friends. It is true that this is not easy and takes some time. But later, you find that when you are with them, there is no common topic of conversation. They talk about clothes, movies, and other things and no longer hold your interest. And you cannot open your mouth about what interests you. So you just stay with them, have a cup of coffee, and walk out. Money or any type of material wealth is something else that is often difficult to give up. Last thing to be given up is the desire to go to heaven, not by running away, but by proper enquiry. See this? Enquiry. Looking into oneself, one can gain a detachment from all this. So, not by running away. So, spirituality is not an escapism, but by proper enquiry, looking into oneself, one can gain a detachment from all these. After all, they are not physical, they are purely in the form of thoughts. Statements of the Shruti, such as everything becomes beloved for the sake of oneself alone. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So everything becomes beloved for the sake of oneself alone. This statement helps us in this type of inquiry. Binding love, like infatuation or even obsession for a person, can be converted into a simple love for yourself expressed through love for that person. Binding love, like infatuation or even obsession for a person, can be converted into a simple love for yourself, expressed through love for that person. In this
Voice
way,
is breaking.
my voice is breaking. Okay, I'll read again. Binding love, like infatuation or even obsession for a person, can be converted into a simple love for yourself, expressed through love for that person. In this way, through inquiry, attachment is lessened with reference to a sense of ownership, mamakara. Closely following this sense of ownership, mamakara is an erroneous sense of I, the ahankara.
Can you repeat
These,
this one again?
yeah,
Maybe
binding.
you can finish reading the next para and then repeat it.
Okay. The principal root remains, however, not to remove it. The self has to be known.
And to remove it, Kshameda,
And
the
to
principle.
Yeah. The principal root remains, however, and to remove it, the self has to be known. For this, we need a proper inquiry. Parimargana. The prefix pari indicates how this inquiry has to be done. That is, with the help of the Shastra and the teacher. In this manner, with the help of the teacher, the Shastra Vakya, Mahavakya, equating Brahman, the cause of creation, with the self, has to be properly inquired into and understood. This is what is meant by the advice Tat Padam Parimargitva
Parimargitavyam. Parimargitavyam.
Parimargitavyam. Okay, we'll go back to this is how to sharpen the axe.
Someone wanted to repeat, no?
Yeah, these two paragraphs, no?
Yeah.
So just to stay with them, okay, we know all that, but not running away, but by proper inquiry. Last thing to be given up is the desire to go to heaven. So not by running away. So desire to give up the son, friends, and heaven, go to heaven. So money and possession, everything is easy, but it is not to be done by running away from them, but by proper inquiry, looking into oneself. One can gain detachment from all these. After all, they are not physical. They are purely in the form of thoughts. Correct. Statements of the Shruti, such as everything becomes beloved for the sake of oneself alone. Atmanavastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Atmanavastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Help us in this type of
Atmanastu kamaya.
Atmanastu
kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati.
Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Help us in this type of inquiry. Binding love, like infatuation or even obsession for a person, can be converted into a simple love for yourself, expressed through love for that person. In this way, through inquiry, attachment is lessened with reference to a sense of ownership, mamakara. Closely following this sense of ownership, mamakara, is an erroneous sense of I, the ahankara. These are the adventitious roots of the tree of samsara. That adventitious roots.
So that
The
statement, binding love like infatuation or even obsession for a person, can be converted into a simple love for yourself, expressed through love for that person.
Yeah.
So when we keep this in mind, Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati, when you're getting lost in that binding love or attachment for, say, your family, your friends, you remember this and then understand that with inquiry that it is because you love yourself that you love the other, and then that will the bind that it has on you will kind of loosen down. Otherwise, it's only outwardly. Here, you're turning it inwardly. You're converting it into a simple love for yourself, expressed through love for that person. Therefore, the attachment is lessened with inquiry. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, please.
So in this way,
In
through
fact,
inquiry.
we love others for our sake only. No? That is
That
the
is with
practical.
attachment, no?
Huh? Not with attachment. See, love for yourself expressed through the love for that person. That is what it is. And it is practical also.
And is it natural also? Because
That is what.
it is very natural, isn't it? Because
Very natural, practical and natural.
and what about attachments? How do we give up attachment? Does it happen naturally over the period once we get into knowledge? Would it happen naturally, or we have to make an effort to that?
This inquiry has to be there, no?
I think it is natural progress.
Can you elaborate on the inquiry?
Especially like friends, you know. So when you are interested in all this, so you will be talking only this, and they will not be interested. So automatically that detachment starts. Though they are your friends, you have no common things to talk about, because you are deeply rooted in this knowledge, and you can see only that knowledge flowing through you, and they are still in that level, so there will be no common points to be talked about. So automatically that detachment starts with everything, almost not only with friends, with everything.
It is
Earlier
easier
we
with
were talking about the Sangha, no?
Sangha, yes.
The Sangha itself is an attachment. Again, it's a bond. So why is each one of us here in this group keen on coming on every day? Because it is Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. Knowledge is also a binding. Remember Sattva Guna? Sattva Guna manifests as pleasure and knowledge. So it is a Sattva that is binding all of us. Ultimately, even that has to go. So only with Vichara, it can happen, like Sureshji mentioned, as you grow up, your attachment to toys and dolls will fall off, but you're attached to something else. So that bond of attachment continues. How is that going to go? That goes only with Vichara, with Viveka. And for that, you need to be in this knowledge and use knowledge to get out of it.
use inquiry, isn't it? We have to inquire into this.
Use inquiry, right?
Yeah, can you give me an example, Brahmaraji, over here? Like
As you said, as we grow older, we won't have the attachment towards toys and all, isn't it? The
But
new
we attach to
attachments.
something else. No, it is
Yeah.
like you lose your grip on one, but you take hold on to something else.
Mm.
So that holding on will continue, and as long as you're holding on to something, samsara will continue.
See, earlier
The
you
whole
were
idea is to
attached to the toys. Later on, you will be attached to the living toys. Earlier, you are attached to the toys which has no life. Later on, you are attached to the live toys. Slowly it will. It will go.
One example of inquiry that comes to my mind is Ashtavakra Gita. King Janaka had the same inquiry. What is real? What is Maya? I had hunger in my dream, and when I come out of my dream, I'm still hungry. So what is real? He had that inquiry. And he was blessed to get Ashtavakra to explain to him that process. So I've been thinking that I have to go back to Ashtavakra again. And then I also came across many stories in Yoga Vasishta. There's a lot of nice videos of Yoga Vasishta on YouTube. Very, very small clips, 3-4 minutes. And that also I felt is sort of an inquiry because it highlights all similar questions. And so this is the example I am getting of what is inquiry, as far as I know. How we can do it, I don't know, but other than going back to Ashtavakra and Yoga Vasishta.
Yoga Vasishta, you said clips. Where are those available?
On YouTube. I can share it in the group. Lots of, they're all just very small clips. It is still going on. I think they have about 183 or 85 so far. Each are only 3, 4, 5 minutes long, but very beautiful, powerful wisdom.
Well, thank you so much.
I'll
Please
share it.
post
I'll
it.
share it.
Yeah.
Even Art of Living, Swami Anand Vaishampayanji, he has also explained it very beautifully. Just very small talks of 7 to 10 minutes. That also we can share, or I think it is in our Art of Living app also. Yoga Vasishta by Swami Vaishampayan.
Can you please share if it is there on the YouTube?
That is also there on YouTube.
Okay.
Vaishampayan Swamiji's is also there on YouTube.
No, but the best Yoga Vasishta I heard was from Nakul, Mr. Nakul. He has said it so wonderful. I think if you can get it on YouTube, I don't know, but it is on the Art of Living app.
Yeah, that is also on the app.
Oh, so I think there are eight this one, so wonderfully, and with jolly and everything, that Yoga Vasishta. If you just read it, it may not be available, but Nakul has explained it so well. And he was so lucky to read Yoga Vasishta to Guruji, and he got the knowledge. So wonderful. Usually Guruji, while sleeping, he tells someone to read something. So Nakul was there, and he used to read Yoga Vasishta to Guruji. And through his mouth, we could hear that Yoga Vasishta so wonderfully.
Yeah, even Swami Vaishampayan ji has shared the same thing, that he also used to read to Gurudev. And I think, I don't know, I think Madhuri ji had shared that Gurudev would snore, go off to sleep, and then they will stop reading, and Gurudev will say, go back to that page and that sentence. You stop there, continue like that.
Yeah, because these enlightened masters, no, they are they are in the Turiya avastha, no? So they are a witness to all three this thing avasthas.
States of
Jagrut,
consciousness.
like Jagrut, Swapna, Sushupti, they are beyond that. And that is why even if the body is completely at rest, snoring means what? It is actually completely, we think that it is in the sleep mode. Yes, the body is at sleep mode and mind is also resting, but Gurudev in Turiya Avastha, he is aware of all the three states through and through. That's why he can immediately catch you. We think that even Bhanu Didi also shared in our Guru Puja that she used to read and then he used to snore like anything, so she used to stop. And immediately he used to catch the word where she has stopped it. So while talking about the beyond the three avasthas, no, that time I think I mentioned this thing. So mostly Gurudev asks to read the Yoga Sishta only to all his nearest devotees. Jai Gurudev. Ultimately, this knowledge also why we have to repetitively attend in Sangha, so that the grip of Maya, no, all the time from our birth, what is our reality, the people and objects and the thoughts of past and future and non-stop thinking of people, objects and situations. So the grip of that is called the Maya, which is anyway continuously changing. But still we try to hold on to it and revel in it through and through, 24/7, even in our dream state. We are dreaming about the same things, no? So to loosen the grip, this knowledge again and again, to first replace it with this knowledge, non-duality. And then इसकी पकड़ अपने चेतना में ज्यादा होती जाएगी. And one day that will also be dropped completely. But till that time, soap we will have to apply and brush it nicely. Jai Gurudev.
Yeah, and this inquiry is again is unique to each one of us. That also is there in one story, no? That all the okay, I'll tell you tomorrow. We are gone beyond time. Inquiry, as far as I know, is individual and it has its own time for each one of us. But inquiry we
And
must
this,
do.
this Brahma Jnanavali Mala also helps a lot. Then repetitively every day when we are listening, that also lingers on whole day. So it's a very good practice we have started actually. And when in the group, then now it is more meditative at the same time. Each and every word we are going through in a more deeper sense. It's very wonderful thing we have started. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Can we all just close our eyes and whoever is a bless Sarala ji is going through some acute pain in her leg. We can all close our eyes and just pray for her. And then we'll do the Shanti part. Sumaji, can I request you to play both the Maya Panchakam as well as the Brahma Jnanavali Mala after that? Let's close our eyes and just pray for Sarala ji. Jai Gurudev.
लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
5 words you pronounce wrong 2 years before your brain starts shutting down. Dementia is now known as type.
निरुपमनित्यनिरंशकेऽप्यखण्डे मयि चिति सर्वविकल्पनादिशून्ये घटयति जगदीश जीवभेदम् त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया श्रुतिशतनिगमान्तशोधकानपि अहधनादिनिदर्शनेन सद्यः कलुषयति चतुष्पदाद्यभिन्ना न घटितघटना पडीयसी माया सुखचिदखण्डविबोधमद्वितीयम् वियदनलादिविनिर्मित्ते नियोज्य भ्रमयति भवसागरे नितान्तम् त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया अपगतगुणवर्णजातिभेदे सुखचितिविप्रविडाद्यहङ्कृतिं च स्फुटयति सुतदारकेहमोहम् त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया विधिहरिहरविभेदमप्यखण्डे बत विरचय्य बुधानपि प्रकामम् भ्रमयति हरिहरविभेदभावान् घटितघटना पटीयसी माया त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया
In a fast-paced industry like fashion, everything tends to happen at once. Squeeze acrobat.
असङ्गोऽहम् 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 पुनः पुनः सच्चिदानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः नित्यशुद्धविमुक्तोऽहम् निराकारोऽहमव्ययः भूमानन्दस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः नित्योऽहम् निरवध्योऽहम् निराकारोऽहमच्युतः परमानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः शुद्धचैतन्यरूपोऽहम् आत्मा रामोऽहमेव च अखण्डानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः प्रत्यक्षचैतन्यरूपोऽहम् शान्तोऽहम् प्रकृतेः परः शाश्वतानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः तत्त्वातीतपरात्माहम् मध्यातीतः परशिवः मायातीतपरञ्ज्योतिः अहमेवाहमव्ययः नानारूपव्यतीतोऽहम् चिदाकारोऽहमच्युतः सुखरूपस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः माया तत्कार्यदेहादि मम नास्त्येव सर्वदा स्वप्रकाशैकरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः गुणत्रयव्यतीतोऽहम् ब्रह्मादीनां च साक्ष्यहम् अनन्तानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः अन्तर्ज्योतिस्वरूपोऽहम् कूटस्थः सर्वगोऽस्म्यहम् सर्वसाक्षिस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः द्वन्द्वादिसाक्षिरूपोऽहम् अचलोऽहम् सनातनः सर्वसाक्षिस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः प्रज्ञानघन एवाहम् विज्ञानघन एव च अकर्ताहम् अभोक्ताहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः निराधारस्वरूपोऽहम् सर्वाधारोऽहमेव च आप्तकामस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः तापत्रयविनिर्मुक्तः देहत्रयविलक्षणः अवस्थात्रयसाक्ष्यस्मि अहमेवाहमव्ययः दृग्दृश्यौ द्वौ पदार्थौ स्तः परस्परविलक्षणौ दृग्ब्रह्मदृश्यं मायेति सर्ववेदान्तडिण्डिमः अहं साक्षीति यो विद्यात् विविच्यैवं पुनः पुनः स एव मुक्तः स विद्वान् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः घटकुड्यादिकं सर्वं मृत्तिकामात्रमेव च तद्वद्ब्रह्म जगत्सर्वम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः ब्रह्म सत्यं जगन्मिथ्या जीवो ब्रह्मैव नापरः अनेन वेद्यं सच्छास्त्रम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः अन्तर्ज्योति बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात्परः ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिशिवोऽस्म्यहम् ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिशिवोऽस्म्यहम्